Okay, today we're gonna be ranking incel albums. No clue what the fuck that is. Haven't listened.
The De La Soul record.
Very very good album. Very groundbreaking. It's listen that I think everyone that's a hip hop fan should check out at some point. 69 Love Songs by the Magnetic Fields. I personally love this album. Already getting into some fucking incel takes here, but there's just so many songs in this album that are so fun. They're so lighthearted. The instrumentals are upbeat. The vocal performances are great. I have multiple songs that I listen to from this album on the regular. Luckiest Guy from the Lower East Side. I Think I Need a New Heart. Chicken with Its Head Cut Off. I Don't Believe in the Sun. There's some absolute bangers on this record. It's long, it's thick, and it's full of quality. Love Supreme by John Coltrane. One of the better jazz albums to ever come out. The premier saxophone album. John Coltrane has like all-time performances on this album. One of my favorite jazz records, Abbey Road by the Beatles. Honestly, I think I'm gonna put Abbey Road in B tier. It's obviously a great album, but there's other Beatles records that I would rather listen to. Like I would rather listen to Revolver. I would probably rather listen to the White Album. I'd probably rather listen to Sgt. Pepper, but it is still a very enjoyable and groundbreaking record. I don't know what this is. The Sigur Rós album, like it's atmospheric and it's obviously quality, but it's just not for me. I've listened to it twice at this point, and both times I was underwhelmed and didn't really enjoy it. Tupac, All Eyes on Me, fantastic hip hop record, one of the better hip hop records in the '90s. I mean, there's obviously ones that I revisit more. I revisit like Enter the 36 Chambers more, or like Illmatic more, but this is still a fantastic old, like it has that West Coast feel throughout the entire album. It's a great listen and super important to the history of hip hop. American Football LP1, S tier. I think American Football LP1 is probably the greatest Midwest emo album of all time. There's just so many iconic tracks. I mean, when it comes to like Never Meant, one of my all-time favorite songs, what a fantastic album opener. There's great trumpet throughout the entire record. When the Summer Ends, the one with the Wolitzer, like there's just great songs throughout the whole album. Animals by Pink Floyd. Animals might be my favorite Pink Floyd record. I think it's a must listen for prog and psychedelic fans. The concept is super cool with George Orwell's Animal Farm. The songs are long and meaty and well produced, and it's just a fantastic record all around. I mean, you can take your pick of what you think your favorite Pink Floyd record is and really not be wrong. Whether that be Wish You Were Here, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, Animals, all four of those are valid picks. I just tend to lean more towards either Animals or Wish You Were Here, but fantastic album. Aquamini by Outkast. I mean, like, it's a great album. It's an iconic hip-hop record. Really brought the Southern sound to, like, the forefront of hip-hop. But I just think that there are better Outkast albums. I think Stankonia and The Speaker Box Love Below have aged better than Aquamini has. But, I mean, obviously there's fantastic performances on the various different tracks from, like, Andre 3000, right? Still a very good album. Still worth a listen. Still a super important record. The Rolling Stones album, I've never been a fan of the Stones. There's not really a single point in history that I can think of where there's not a band that I would rather listen to from that era than the Rolling Stones. I've just never really, like, I appreciate what they've done, but even in my head, I think of them more as a magazine than I do as a rock band. Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. One of the best jazz albums of all time. One of the best trumpet albums of all time. Being a trumpet player, this album's super important to me. I have this album on vinyl as well. Such a fantastic cover as well. You open up the vinyl and both sides of it are part of the cover. That's only one half the cover that you see here on screen. Long experimental songs like The Pharaoh's Dance and stuff like that. It's fantastic. It really is. Whether you think it's the best Miles Davis record or not, this or Kind of Blue or whatever you want to choose, also a valid debate. This is just one of my favorite jazz albums of all time, and it's one that, if you're into fusion and experimental jazz, I think it's probably the best jazz fusion and experimental jazz record probably ever. But I will put a caveat on Bitches Brew that it is not for everyone. Black on Both Sides by Mos Def. Great record. Super influential record. I'm trying to remember when it came out, like 1999 or something like that. It came out in 1999. There's so many fantastic bars throughout the whole thing. Like, just to be clear, putting it in B tier, like with the quality of the albums on this list, B tier still means it's a fantastic album. Like, I still think all hip hop fans should take the time to listen to Black on Both Sides. My first introduction to this album at all, before I listened to it front to back, was like Miss Fat Booty being on the Skate 3 soundtrack. And so there's like sounds on this that are super nostalgic to me, and Mos Def is just such a fantastic rapper. There's better soundtracks out there. I'd probably rather listen to the Requiem for a Dream soundtrack. Bob Dylan record, like, I don't know. I think Bob Dylan, my experience listening to Bob Dylan, I think he's a fantastic poet, but his voice just isn't for me. That doesn't take away from any of his projects. Obviously, his projects are super, super influential, super quality, but I just never really want to listen to it. Simon & Garfunkel, iconic folk record. I think there's better folk out there. When I think about like 60s and 70s folk, I would probably rather listen to like Nick Drake, but I mean, I would rather listen to Simon & Garfunkel than Bob Dylan. So, the Justice record. I saw Justice live recently, and it was a fantastic, fantastic performance. That being said, like, I think I would probably rather listen to Justice live than like I often revisit their music just on like Spotify, just like thinking to revisit it. That's not to take away. I mean, it's a great dance album. It's obviously super influential. It came out in like 2007, and as a dance record, we're still talking about it. And I feel like unless dance albums are fantastic, they don't tend to stand the test of time. When I saw Justice live, they mixed Never Ender, which is one of their newer songs, and DANCE, Dance, which is the biggest song from this album, together. And that was one of the cooler things I've ever seen done live. Dark Side of the Moon, I mean, it's fantastic, right? There's nothing I can take away from the album, but I can't justify putting it in S tier when there's two albums by the same artist I would rather listen to. And there's moments in that album where you just feel like you're floating, dude. But again, I would probably just rather revisit Wish You Were Here or Animals. For that reason, it's going to the top of A tier. Sonic Youth, Daydream Nation. Really noisy record, really aggressive record. Really important for the 80s sound. I think if you enjoy a lot of noise albums, if you enjoy older albums, this is one that you should definitely check out. Demon Days by the Gorillaz. Probably A tier. I really enjoy Demon Days. I also think Demon Days is a lot more digestible for the average listener than most of the albums on this list. Like, I could recommend Demon Days to a friend that pretty much only listens to pop music, and they can still enjoy that record. Daft Punk, Discovery. You can honestly put Discovery in the conversation for like greatest dance album of all time. Personally, I think the greatest dance album of all time, or at least the greatest dance album I've ever listened to, is Random Access Memories. But Discovery is also just mind-boggling. It's super digestible, great for pretty much anyone to listen to. You can put it on the background or you can put it on the forefront and dance. And either way, you're going to have a great time listening to pretty much any song off that record. Disintegration by The Cure, immediate S tier. I think it's The Cure's best work. One of the like best gothic and emo albums. Like, I guess it's technically not an emo album, but it has that emo feel to it. Came out in the late 80s. There's just so many fantastic songs on it. Pictures of You, Fascination Street, Love Song. The performances are all great. It's moody, it's emotional, it's thick. Everything about Disintegration is fantastic. I do think it is The Cure's best record. One of the best rock albums I've ever listened to. Donuts by Jay Dilla, probably the best instrumental hip-hop album of all time. It's really sad what happened to Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla produced this album while in the hospital, and it's just so good. The beats on it are iconic. The first time I feel like I ever heard a Jay Dilla beat, to my knowledge, was like Running Away by The Far Side. And I was like, this beat just like is so smooth. And I looked at the credits to see who it was, and I was like, Jay Dilla, isn't that guy that made that one album, Donuts? And I had no clue about anything about the album other than its existence, and I listened to it, and it's probably the best instrumental hip-hop record. I don't know. know why I would ever go listen to the Pixies with more than just a few singles, to be honest. There's just better out there. The Elliott Smith album. Oh. I'll put it in A tier. It's emotional. It's so sad. Like, Elliott Smith's voice is just haunting, and the guitar performances are unmatched. Really tragic what happens to Elliott Smith, but fantastic album. Some of Hendrix's best tracks land here. All-time guitar performances. You have that iconic cover of All Along the Watchtower. It's just... It's a must-listen, especially for guitar fans. What do you want me to say? Like, I listen to that pretty frequently, actually. That's one of my most listened to songs in the last couple of months. I think this album deserves a re-listen, especially since I listen to some of the singles off of it very frequently. Okay, Enter the 36 Chambers by Wu-Tang Clan. Immediate S tier in my mind. I think, hot take, that is the best 90s hip-hop record. There's so many fantastic performances throughout the whole thing, and fantastic beats, like RZA cooking up the beats. You got Jizza the Genius on almost the tracks. You got Method Man, Raekwon, Ghostface Killah. Old Dirty Bastard is still there. We love all those performances. And you have songs like Tears and like The Mystery of Chess Boxing and shit like that. And Killer Bees. And you just think, man, all those songs are fantastic. And then you come along to like Cream, right? And Cream genuinely might be the best hip-hop song in the 90s. There's some arguments for like a Nas song or like a Biggie song or whatever. But Cream is just... Dude, that song hits on another level. All the performances are so great throughout the album. You have them trying to one-up each other, but there's so much chemistry on every track. The only solo track, Method Man, still hits hard as hell without having to have too much chemistry. Neil Young, I don't ever even remember this album exists. These are albums that I actively did not enjoy. Like, I still enjoyed this album, but it's just like... There's just so much better out there. Okay, call me a male manipulator, call me an incel, whatever you want. Jeff Buckley's Grace might be the greatest debut album of all time. It's sad, it's emotional, it's moving, and then when he wants to be, he has so much power in his voice. Might be the best singer-songwriter album of all time. Every song on that album just hits so hard. Whether you're looking at the hits like Lover You Should Have Come Over or like Forget Her, or you go all the way down to like the more unknown tracks like Lilac Wine, Grace, or Corpus Christi Carol. Every single performance is fantastic. This is an unimaginably good album that everyone should take the time to listen to. Homogenic by Bjork. High A tier, I would say. Fantastic record, groundbreaking, experimental, a moment in art pop history. But Bjork just has a better album, in my opinion. I think Bjork's best album is like 100% Vespertine. And honestly, like, I find myself re-listening to Post probably more than I do Homogenic, but that's not taking anything away from Homogenic. It's still fantastic. Frank Zappa, Hot Rats, great album. Not for everyone, but it is a great album. There's really nothing like Hot Rats by Frank Zappa, to be honest. I don't even know how to like describe it because I really can't compare anything that I know of to it. Frank Zappa is just such a like enigmatic character in the music scene. And this is an older record for sure, like several decades at this point, but it still holds up with the same chaos that it came out with. Illinois by Sufjan Stevens. Straight into S tier in my mind. I think it's the best Sufjan Stevens work. I think it is better than Carrie and Lowell. It's so rich instrumentally. It's so dense in how it's composed. There's so many iconic tracks that are just so fun and upbeat. Chicago, Come On Feel the Illinois, Concerning the UFO sighting near wherever it was, John Wayne Gacy Jr., Kazimir Pulaski Day, right? It's just track after track after track of bangers. And the concept is super cool with the state concept. The story is great, and it recently got adapted into a musical that, from what I understand, was also very good. But this is my favorite Sufjan Stevens record, and it is an immediate S tier. It's so good. It's fantastic. And it's super fun. You can't get much better when it comes to 90s hip-hop. I switch every day whether I think this or 36 Chambers is a better album. I mean, obviously, they're both super important East Coast albums. And there's just bars that I think about on the regular. I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. Are you kidding me? Opens up the song and is like, I don't know how to start this shit. And then just goes off on one of the greatest hip-hop tracks of all time, right? He started with such a strong album that it was unfair to compare to the rest of his career. In Rainbows by Radiohead, also straight into S tier. It's smooth. It's sexy. It was on my Hear Me Out list on that video. Almost every song on that album is saved on my phone. I think it's probably the best Radiohead album. I do enjoy it more than OK Computer. Kid A is maybe a little closer in my mind, but I enjoy it more than The Bends. I enjoy it more than Moon-Shaped Pool. It's so smooth. It's so sexy. It's so introspective. Everything about this album is fantastic, and it's digestible for the average listener as well. In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, the incel album, you know, like you can't get much more incel than this. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Holy shit, it's such a good album, dude. Like, yeah, does it represent everything wrong with like music critics and shit and like MU as a whole and like all these like music fans? Yeah, but dude, it's just such good folk and the instruments that come in throughout it are great. And there really isn't much other Neutral Milk Hotel work in the discography. So it's like this album, which is a fucking banger, and then like very little else, which is kind of cool. It's super iconic album cover. It's nonsense at points. Like even the band has admitted that some of the songs on the album are a little bit of nonsense. But despite the nonsense, the way the vocals are sung and like almost yelled still hit like deep in your soul, man. Criminally underrated album. The Frank Sinatra album is so good, man. Is This It by The Strokes? I'm going to put it in S tier, man. I have this album on vinyl as well. It's just like, it's banger after banger after banger. The whole track list is so good. Whether you're looking at the hits, like the title track or like Last Night, or you get onto like some of the deeper cuts like Soma, every song is so good. I think it is the best Strokes album. The album cover is so cool. Julian Casablancas has such a unique voice. The album is super enjoyable front to back. And I can't find myself to stop listening to it. I can never stop listening to this album. Every song is just so fun, so good. Okay, another S tier right here. Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Best hip-hop album of the 80s. Public Enemy is just, it's thick, it's raw, it's grimy, it's political. Everything about this album is super good. James Blake. Honestly, like, this is a good album. I enjoyed the James Blake album, but I'm shocked to even see it on a list like this. No album opening has ever gave me like the same chills as like Everything in Its Right Place did. I think probably the best Radiohead track, How to Disappear Completely, falls in this album. It was a huge left turn from where they were expected to go after like their last two albums being like The Bends and OK Computer being guitar-based albums. And holy shit, dude, it's just so good. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. Okay. Straight to S tier. Best smooth jazz album of all time. But these two, like, Bitches Brew and Kinda Blue are just so different. This is like pure fusion and experimental stuff. And this is just like, you have like Blue and Green and Flamenco Sketches and like Freddie Freeloader. All these smooth songs, dude. Like, if you just want an album to study, you can't find much of a better album to put on the background than Kinda Blue. Kanye comes with a really enigmatic charisma throughout the whole record. And while it's not my favorite Kanye project, that's nothing to take away from it. It's still a super important hip-hop record. The Chipmunk Soul splices are super cool. All the samples are fantastic. Front to back. I did not like Led Zeppelin 4. I don't know what it was. I really can't put it into words. I thought the album was slow. It's kind of boring. There's better rock out there. There's better 70s rock. I know I'm going to get like burned at the stake if anyone actually like ever watches this video to this point and sees that I don't like this album, but I don't know, man. Just never clicked with me. I've tried multiple times. Your Skinny Fist Like Antennas to Heaven by Godspeed You Black Emperor. Album is not for everyone. Songs are like damn near 30 minutes long. But damn, dude, like, it's harder to find a more atmospheric record. It's ambient. It's like, it invokes emotions that you don't feel listening to any other album. Even other Godspeed You Black Emperor albums. Liquid Swords by Jizza. Also a great 90s hip-hop album. When I think of Liquid Swords, one, the album cover is just great. Two, I think it's probably the best solo album from one of the Wu-Tang members. And then three, like Bible, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. London Calling by The Clash. Probably the best punk album of all time. I think it's better than Nevermind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols, personally. We are lucky that this came out of the punk movement, is what I'm going to say. And Loveless by My Bloody Valentine. The best shoegaze album. It's better than Slovaki by Slow Dive, as much as I love that album as well. But oh my God, there's like this wall of sound that comes at you throughout all of Loveless, and somehow still every melody is so clear. Like it's literally like you're getting hit by a brick wall, but you can see every individual part of the brick. It's so cool. It really is like the definitive shoegaze album. It is another one of the incel albums, along with In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. But if I go to rate your music, I bet I would not be shocked if Loveless is in like the top 20 albums. Loveless number 10 right here. Yeah, that makes sense. Mad Villainy by MF Doom, or Mad Villain, whatever you want to say. The villain himself, it's an S tier. There is no album with the flows like this album has. It is grimy. The Madlib production is fantastic. The flows are unparalleled. There's so many impressive bars on this thing. Accordion, Rhinestone Cowboy, all caps. Like, it's Meat Grinder, Figaro. It's front to back. There's not a miss on this thing. Every song on this album is a 10. It is the best Doom project. And like genuinely, there's not a hip hop album out there where the flows can even come close to the like types of mind-boggling rhythms that we hear Doom do on this album. And not only are we hearing Doom do all these mind-boggling rhythms, what I think this like sets Mad Villainy apart from Food is that a lot of the beats on Food are like, I could imagine other hip hop artists on those beats. You know, the Madlib production throughout all of Mad Villainy, dude. I can't even I can take those beats and I can't think of a single other artist that I think could kill those beats. And yet MF Doom kills them so hard that the album is probably the best hip hop album of the 2000s. Funkadelic, Maggot Brain, that's just another S tier album, man. One of the best albums of the 70s. It's funky, it's rich, it's so good, dude. I've done this album a personal disservice by not listening to it more. Because every time I listen to it, my socks get blown off, man. It's so good. If you haven't listened to Maggot Brain and you haven't been given the recommendation to listen to Maggot Brain, that's one of these albums on this list that I think everyone, like as much as I would want to recommend like Illinois or like American football, right, to another person, there's definitely people that would not appreciate those albums, right? I think everyone can listen to Funkadelic, Maggot Brain, and be just astounded. A beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy. I don't care what the melon tries to say about it being a 6. It's not a 6, dude. It's so good. My favorite Kanye track is probably Runaway. It's more poppy. Like, it has this pop feel to it that I would say no other Kanye project really has. I would consider it more of a pop album than a hip-hop album, to be completely honest. But there's just so many good tracks on it, dude. All the Lights, Devil in a New Dress, Runaway is my favorite Kanye track. It's fantastic, and the melon is lying to you. Nirvana, Nevermind, S tier, realistically. It's nothing but perfect grunge throughout the entire album. It's probably the definitive grunge album ever. Sorry to all the Alice in Chains fans. I also like Alice in Chains, but Nevermind is just the perfect grunge album, and it brought grunge to the forefront of music, right? Grunge never had any right being as popular as it was. but just the pure quality of this album. And it still affects music today, despite Nirvana, like Kurt Cobain tragically takes his own life, right? And Nirvana obviously hasn't made music since. And you still see Nirvana on every single t-shirt at a Walmart today. It just goes to show the quality and longevity of an album like Nevermind has. And In Utero is also fantastic. Bleach is also fantastic, but Nevermind is just the grunge album, you know? I would be amiss to put it in anything other than S. Okay, computer. I'm going to put OK Computer in B tier. It's going to anger some people because obviously there's fantastic Radiohead tracks throughout it. Paranoid Android, Exit Music for a Film. But like as a whole record, I think it's a little overrated. It's a good guitar record. It's worth listening to because there's better Radiohead out there by a significant margin. And I think the music community glazes this album a little bit, and it is severely overrated. Paranoid by Black Sabbath. That's the best Black Sabbath album. Great metal album. Blur. I saw a post the other day saying, if you recognize this dog, you're probably obnoxious to be around. And like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. Pet Sounds, immediate S tier. Pet Sounds is peak. The Beach Boys is peak. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're so fun. They're so catchy. Every song gives you an earworm. The experimentation with the synthesizer on this album is groundbreaking. And I could listen to this album every day and not get tired of it, honestly. Nick Drake, Pink Moon. S tier. My favorite folk album. Nick Drake delivers all-time guitar performances, and his voice is just so haunting, man. It feels almost incorrect to listen to. And he never got the fame that he deserved during his lifetime. Very little is known about Nick Drake. Actually, like all three of his albums, Five Leave Lefts, Briar Later, and Pink Moon, all were like critical failures at release, which is crazy to me because on first listen of Pink Moon, I was like blown away. I genuinely think it's my favorite folk album of all time. His voice is just, it genuinely sounds like you're listening to a ghost. It's deep. The guitar is impressive. You look at the album cover and you just have so many questions raised, you know? Like, what am I looking at right now? But at the same time, you can't stop looking away. And that's what a lot of the album feels like to listen to. Pinkerton by Weezer. This is an incel album if I've ever seen one. It's still a good album. The Blue Album's better. But the best way I can sum up Pinkerton to someone that hasn't listened to it is that on the song Pink Triangle, there is a bar that goes, "I'm dumb, she's a lesbian. I thought she was the one. We look good as married in my mind, but Mary in my mind is no good." And yes, that's obviously a witty bar, a very good bar. I love the married in my mind part. But, dude, it's just such an incel album, man. It is such an incel album. Purple Rain is an immediate S tier. I'm not even going to explain this one because hopefully everyone that clicked on this video has listened to Purple Rain. Because if you haven't, you're doing yourself and the album a disservice. About as good as 80s music can get. Devo. I saw Devo live recently, and I had actually never listened to the album front to back up until very recently as a result of Devo, seeing them live. And it's fun. It's fine. It's obviously influential. They're from the Midwest, from what I understand. I really enjoyed the album, but it's nothing special. I think they were more interesting live than they were in the studio. But also, I think they probably would have done a lot more for me if I was around when the album came out. I think the album, for when it came out, was weird, groundbreaking, experimental, strange, absurd. And Devo obviously has a very cult fan base as a result of how they perform, the red hat and the "you can whip it," all that stuff. And they were still a joy to see live. They really were. I really enjoyed Devo. Revolver, my personal favorite Beatles album. I put it in the A tier. I mean, you can argue for better Beatles records, but I always enjoy revisiting Revolver more than any other one, to be honest. Ride the Lightning, a great 80s metals album. It's raw, it's thrashy, it's heavy, it's iconic, and Metallica really brought some of their best there. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, fantastic. Another one of those albums that's withstood the test of time in such a way that you can walk through any Target and see a shirt with Rumors on it. And Rumors, it really is so good. One of my favorite live performances of all time is, and like, they get mad at each other throughout the performance, and he's like screaming. Look at the way she's looking at him, man. Look at the way she's looking at him. Oh, that just, it gives me chills, dude. Like him yelling, "You do not love me now," while like looking at her. Yeah, easily one of the best live performances of all time. Easily one of the best live performances of all time. If you haven't listened to the whole live performance, please go do so after this video. Carissa's Weird. I love this album. This album does not get nearly the amount of love that it deserves. You Should Be Hated Here. Ignorant piece of shit. I'm talking Farewell to All These Rotten Teeth are all songs that I have saved into my playlist. It's so good, and it doesn't get nearly the love that it deserves as an album. Slovakia by Slowdive. I saw Slowdive live recently. This album is great. Some of the saddest shoegaze you'll ever hear. When the Sun Hits, Dagger, like, oh, those two songs. Any time of day, no matter what mood I'm in, you can put them on and I'll damn near cry. Just super emotional shoegaze record. It's fantastic. Relic of the 90s that has aged perfectly. And Slowdive was also very good live as well. Spiderland by Slint. S tier. It is unique. The time signatures are so strange. The lyrics are so strange. It's mixed in such an unorthodox way. And the guitar is just so heavy throughout the whole thing. And then when you finally hear him actually sing, every time he sings throughout the album's only like 6 songs long. Every time you sing, it's so good. He's like almost whispering into the mic like this for a lot of the record. He's like talking while these heavy instrumentals are behind him and these unorthodox time signatures. And I'm lucky enough to own a limited edition like royal blue print of Spiderland on vinyl, and it is one of my favorite vinyls. It is so cool. It really is. This is a record that is admittedly not for everyone. You're going to hear it and you're going to either be uncomfortable and think that this is super cool, or you're going to be uncomfortable and never want to listen to it again. And that's the beauty of Spiderland. Straight Outta Compton has not aged well at all. It's obviously super important for the history of hip-hop, super important politically. Like, I'm not taking anything out historically from this record, obviously. That being said, the album just, I feel like, has not aged in a fantastic way. A lot of the bars feel really dated. A lot of the bars aren't really acceptable nowadays. But for what it is, I mean, for a political movement, it's hard to get much better. Charles Mingus, The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady. Damn near a perfect jazz album. The bass performances are unmatched. Charles Mingus is probably the best bass player of all time. Best string bass player of all time. It's one of the best jazz albums of all time. All the jazz albums I've said that to, when I think of my 5 favorite jazz albums, all 4 of these are in my 5 favorite jazz albums. Jay-Z, The Blueprint. Jay-Z is probably the most overrated hip-hop artist of all time. The Blueprint is a record that exists. It is a record that I listen to front to back. There's better hip-hop, even for its era. I feel like it hasn't aged great. Jay-Z's voice is kind of annoying. And I don't even think it's the best Jay-Z album. I think 444 is probably better. If you ask me whether I would rather listen to The Chronic or The Blueprint, I would say The Chronic 10 times out of 10. But if you ask me whether I would rather listen to Straight Outta Compton or The Chronic, it becomes a much harder question, and I would probably say Straight Outta Compton. The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails. a grimy, gross industrial album that makes you feel fucking yucky throughout the whole thing, dude. You feel like there's like nails scraping across your eardrums and that your ears could start bleeding at any moment, and you're enjoying it the whole time. You feel gross. You feel depressed. It's industrial. It sounds slimy. It's so good, and there's iconic tracks to come from it. I mean, probably the biggest Nine Inch Nails song that I can think of is Closer, which obviously comes off of the Downward Spiral. You have Hurt coming off the Downward Spiral, which quite iconically got covered by Johnny Cash years later. And many people prefer the Johnny Cash cover, but I don't really have a preference. They're both great. The whole Downward Spiral album is just like, it feels really raw. It feels like you can see inside Trent Reznor's head just for the hour runtime, you know? The Glow Part 2 by the Microphones. This is my favorite vinyl I own. This is one of my favorite albums, period. I think it's a pure S tier. No matter how many times I revisit this album, I'll probably cry when I revisit it the next time. One of my all-time favorite songs is The Moon. But even outside of The Moon, there's just so many good songs. I Felt Your Shape, the title track, I Want Wind to Blow, Headless Horseman. It's this lo-fi folk record that just feels so emotional, and there's really nothing like it. I could see myself getting that elephant tattooed on me at some point. The moon stared down at me, and in its light I saw my 2 feet on the ground. No album I've ever listened to has like portrayed the feeling of anxiety as well as The Glow Part 2. And at that same time, there's a strange beauty to every track on the album. It is fantastic. I got a picture with Phil Elverum, and that's one of my favorite pictures on my camera roll, just because of how much this album personally affected me. It's such an important album to me personally. It's harder for me to think an album that I personally enjoy more. Like Ants From Up There is like the one that comes close. Those are like my 2 favorite albums. Ants From Up There by Black Country New Road. It's just so good. And if no one has told you to listen to The Glow Part 2, I will be the angel on your shoulder in the scenario and say, please find an hour and a half of your time at some point and listen to The Glow Part 2. It is an emotionally moving experience. It's instrumentally dense at times and instrumentally barren at others, and yet somehow it all works. Ocean Man. This is an absurd. Of the albums on this list, this one has been the hardest for me to rate. The Mollusk by Ween. It's strange. It's absurd. It's uncomfortable. And yet, it's kind of fun. Is that crazy? I kind of really enjoy The Mollusk by Ween. This album is super strange, super weird, super uncomfortable. I mean, you have some meme songs to come off this album, like Ocean Man is probably the most iconic Ween song out there. Rise and Fall, Ziggy Stardust, and the Spiders on Mars. Now, this is what I've been talking about. This is a peak Bowie project. David Bowie's best. It's a magnum opus from the 70s. Fantastic rock album, fantastic art rock album. The vocal performances are great. The instrumental performances are great. The whole concept is really cool. It's a classic for a reason. It's one of the albums that the old heads definitely got right. You can peel the banana and it's like pink underneath. Great record. It sounds like drugs. The Roots, fan-fucking-tastic. Holy shit. Album is peak. It's very underappreciated hip-hop. And it's so good, man. Trout Mask Replica. This is another album. This one's like Ween in that it's very hard for me to rate. Because realistically, right, the album sounds like hot ass. Like, it sounds like you're fucking listening to a bunch of 5-year-olds clacking on some drums. But at the same time, in a weird way, it's kind of peak. Like, it's kind of inexplicably peak. Why it's hard for me to give a good rating or a bad rating is it's kind of peak, but it also sounds like this.
I cannot go back to your land of gloom, where black jagged shadows remind me of the coming of your doom. I want my own land.
Like, do we see the issue here? Vocally, I think it's very impressive. The album cover's uncomfortable. The vocal performances are fantastic, but instrumentally, dude, it's just like, it genuinely sounds like a bunch of like 5th graders just started playing random instruments and didn't know how to play them. So it's kind of hard for me to give a good, accurate rating of Trout Mask Replica. But me personally, I enjoyed it. I will maybe never re-listen to it again and be fine with that. And I'm going to give it a high A tier. I think it would get the S tier if it was more re-listenable. Unknown Pleasures by Joy Division. Peak. Unironically, a Peak album. When I saw New Order live, their encore song, they played Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division. And that was really cool. The Blue Album. Is it crazy to put the Blue Album in S? Like, it's an album for losers, for sure. And Weezer is a band for losers. Rivers Cuomo, love you. I saw you live recently. Weezer live was great. They played pretty much nothing but hits outside of the Blue Album, and then they played the Blue Album front to back. And the Blue Album front to back is just as good live as it is in studio. It's a fantastic album. It really is. Like, is it a loser incel album? For sure. But every song on it just rocks, dude. It's so fun. It's so singable. It's so relatable. It almost feels like a garage album, and it is better than Pinkerton. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, possibly the best album of all time. It's soulful. It's smooth. Performances are great. I enjoyed the Acid Bath album that I listened to in 7th grade, but I have not listened to it since. This is an average guy's ranking of incel albums and MU albums. If you made it to this point in the video, I wanted to say thank you for watching. Consider liking the video or subscribing. I plan on doing some more stuff with niche music taste like this in the future, and I got some other big projects in the works right now. I stream almost all the content I make on Twitch at twitch.tv/Iggly2. We have a lot of fun over the streams. Come check them out. And if you didn't enjoy the video, fuck you. Peace.